Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about all the books I read in December, which weren't that many if I'm being honest. My reading is just like on a bit of a slump. Not in a true slump, but I've read only 10 books. And that's it, only like there's so many books, like yeah, my amount of reading has been increasingly decreasing during the last months of the year, well, last year. So yeah, I just been really busy, if I'm being honest. I never really read that much when I'm on vacation, you know, and such, so we're just going to deal with it. Having said that, I read 10 books, so let's talk about them. The first book that I read last month was The Phlebotomist by Chris Panettiere, and this is a dystopia and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I knew that I was going to enjoy it because I knew there were some kind of vampire things here, some vampire things going on definitely, and hell, I was right. I adore this. It is basically about a society that is built around the concept of blood types. So for example, if you can donate more, for example, the O negatives that can basically donate to everyone, you are kind of the highest class in the society. Then we have the A, then we have the B, and then we have the AB. I think it was like that, but yeah, it basically followed the different blood types, and it was such a cool concept. I loved it. I loved it. Of course, it's a dystopia, so we have tons of, you know, governmental paranoia and conspiracies, like, yeah. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really liked Willa as a main character. She was so sassy. Like, so sassy. I really like her. I did feel like the book was too fast. Maybe it could have been longer, you know? Like, after 50 pages, you know that everything is going to just turn shit, basically. So it was a bit rushed. But that was my main complaint. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought that it was such a cool and original dystopia, like, you know, the genre is a little bit burned out, but this was so cool. This was so cool. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It reminded me a lot of the film Daybreakers with Ethan Hawke. So cool, so cool. It was amazing. This was amazing. And that ending, oh man, this could have been like a series. That ending was just like so open and so terrifying. I loved it. I loved it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars because even though I enjoyed the hell out of it, it wasn't perfect, but I do really want to continue checking out this author because this was so cool. Like, this was so cool. Then, because I wanted to finish all of my 5-star predictions, I read The 1,000 Names by Django Wexler. And let me tell you, I did really like this book, but I didn't love it as much as I thought. Was it a good prediction? Yeah. Was it a perfect prediction? Not really. I thought that I was going to enjoy this in the same way that I enjoyed like the Powder Mage trilogy. And you know, it's one of my favorite series of all time. So looking for that is not really realistic. And that hit me in the face a little bit. And with reason, you know, with reason. I love that it was just full-on military action. Like, this is a military fantasy, more especially a gunpowder fantasy. You know, they have guns. It was definitely one of those. Like, it's so focused on the military, and I love that. I love that. It's one of the things that I enjoy the most out of this genre, when you're just like, this is going to be a strategy all the way, and it's strategy all the way. Like, non-stop military action, strategy, soldier's life. That was so cool. Okay, that was so cool. The character that I definitely enjoyed the most, and which story I thought it was the most kind of not original, because I have seen that before and I'm pretty sure you have to, but Winter was the best. Like, the best. Oh man, I enjoy the arc so badly. Like, I don't really want to go into that much detail because even though you see that coming from so far away, it's still kind of a plot twist, so I don't want to give that away. But still, this was great. This was great. That part was so cool. Like, oh man. The only thing that it's kind of a counterpoint to what it said first. I love military stuff, you know, But the thing is, there were like more battles things than actually preparing for the battle. And I'm a weirdo, you know. I love preparing for a battle. All the first preparations, I'm a sucker for that. And that wasn't really shown much. It was like, I don't know, maybe we have like 100 pages of a battle and then 50 for a preparation to a battle. That's a great exaggeration, by the way, but you know what I mean? That's my kind of main complaint. Though the ending, I wasn't expecting it to take that route, which is something that I really enjoyed. I was just like, oh, wait a second. And there's barely any magic here, like barely any magic. In the Phlebotomist trilogy, even though it's a military fantasy, there's so much magic, like everywhere. There are 4 different types of magic systems. And here, there's not that much magic, which it's not something that I do really mind, but as I've told you, because I was comparing both of them all the time, I was a little bit let down, but it's my fault. I shouldn't have been comparing them all the time. So I basically ended up giving this one almost 4 stars. I did put like 4 stars on Goodreads, but I do think it's more of a 3.75, 3.5, something like that. I will still continue with this series. I'm still curious about what young Wexler can do. I will still read his works, and I'm super curious to continue, but yeah, I wasn't expecting too much. I should have lowered my expectations. Then I read Towers of Heaven by Cameron Millan, and this is a lead RPG, meaning a literary RPG. That means that takes elements from video games and puts them on a book. So this reminded me a lot of Sufficiently Advanced Magic, because you are climbing a tower with different levels, and also to Sword Art Online. every lead RPG that I read is just like reminded me of Sword Art Online for some reason, but this definitely had that feeling in a way that there are like several groups, and each group has their own abilities, and they're kind of competing to climb the tower faster, and they are also stuck in different levels, because the higher you get, the more difficult it is, of course. And I don't know, it reminded me a lot of those first chapters where Kirito is just like a little bit lost, you know, and he finds all these different groups of climbers and such. So I really like that. I really like that. Having said that, maybe I should have lowered again my expectations. I did enjoy it a lot. I like it's a super fast read. I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, it felt quite short, quite predictable, you know. So that it wasn't perfect, you know. It wasn't perfect, but still, I will continue with this series because I do believe that the ending was really good enough. Having said that, I still prefer Reborn Apocalypse, because even though they are quite similar, I felt like the stakes on Reborn Apocalypse were higher, like much higher all the time. I don't know why, I still enjoyed this one. I thought it was like a fun ride, and the character again travels back on time. And did I tell you anything about what these books were about? I think I didn't. But basically, in Towers of Heaven, we have our main character, and they have basically defeated the tower, but the thing is, humanity died, like all the humans died. All the humans were killed, and he's granted a wish, and he's just like, I want humanity to be resurrected, you know, I don't want to be alone my fucking life. And the kind of, let's call it angel, just like, you see, I cannot do that because I don't have enough energy to do that, so another wish, you know. And he just kind of loses his mind for a bit, like, what do you mean you don't have, like, what? So he decides to go back on time, you know, prepare humanity and such. I enjoyed one thing so much. He has to, you know, make coin, like he needs to have money. And he's just like, you know, I'm just going to draw the floors that I know and the different monsters, and I'm just going to sell it for millions. And it's just like, I would have done the same, man, like, yeah. But I really like that the main character felt like really likable, and you can support him, no problem. But yeah, besides that, I thought it was quite predictable, as I've told you. Like, I did enjoy it, but you know, lead RPGs sometimes feel like other lead RPGs and other series and other games. So yeah, still, I like the ending enough to continue. I give this one 3.5. I'm not quite sure. The more I think about it, the more I think that it should be 3 stars. But I still enjoy this one. Oh boy, let's talk about this beauty. The Bird and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Whew. Whew. This was so good. Like, thank you all again to everyone who recommended this series to me, because holy shit, I love this book. I thought it was great. I didn't give it like full 5 stars. It's more like a 4.75, 4.5, because I still don't think it's perfect. But man, the atmosphere in this book, the creepiness of this book, I wasn't expecting this book to be kind of scary, but it was like, what the hell, you know, winter in Russia, that shit stuff. I thought it was fucking great. I'm so sad that I missed the hype train for this book, because I thought it was amazing. I have already bought the sequel. I'm super excited to continue. I thought it was fantastic. Like, I loved almost everything about it. The mythology, the dark fairy tale that it has. Every single character felt different from one another, and we have like a good cast. Even though Vasilisa is the main character that we follow, her brothers and sisters, her father, her stepmother, her mother, even her caretaker, they all felt like really different. I love that. I love that. And I knew that this book was more character driven, but towards the middle of it, it turns into a more plot driven book, and I love that. I love that. It was when, you know, the plot starts to oh, I freaking love that. And it talks about Christianity and what in other religions. That was amazing too. The thing that it was a bit meh was the ending. It felt really rushed. Like, we had so many pages to prepare for that, but then the kind of final battle, let's call it that, it's just like 4 or 5 pages. Like, you know, there's not like that much going on. But I was talking to one of the friends that I was buddy reading this with, and she told me that in the next books it's explained why the battle was so short. So I'm really curious about that, because that might change my rating on this book. But overall, The Bird and the Nightingale is fucking amazing. Please try this if you like kind of historical fantasy, because this is actually set on real Russia, but there are tons of fantastical elements on it, like creatures, gods, everything. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Spirits. Oh. But in this one, we basically follow Vasilisa, and she is the daughter of this kind of powerful lord, and she has always seen like weird creatures around the house. Then when she stepmother comes in, she basically starts messing everything up. Spirits are dying. I cannot tell you much, because really the plot only starts here. And it's really fast, so I don't want to spoil anything. But please try this. It was amazing. Like, why did I miss this? Like, then let's talk about another gem. Oh man, Revenant Gun by Junha Lee, book 3 in the Machineries of Empire. The conclusion to this series was everything. I knew that we were building up a story to have like, oh man, an impressive finale. This one delivered so badly. Look, man. 3 books, 3 perfect books. I gave first 2 like 4.5 stars. I thought that they were great, but they weren't quite there, you know, to give it 5 stars. I gave this one 5 stars. It was fucking amazing. From the get-go, I felt that it was much faster than the previous one. We also have like kind of a dual timeline that I really enjoy. We have like what used to be our present, and then 9 years later, and we're just moving around that bit with different characters in each one. I loved seeing Kujin's backstory. Baby Jedao. I'm so happy that I buddy read this with Kayla and Angela, so I could just gush about it all the time, because it was so good. Like, I loved it. I loved it. I even liked Bruisen more this time around. I wasn't really sure about them in the first one, but in this one, yes. What a great conclusion. It was kind of a bittersweet ending for a bit for one of the characters, but still, this was phenomenal. I will highly recommend this series to almost anyone who likes science fiction. It's a hard science fiction, by the way, so be aware of that. But overall, fucking amazing series. In the first book, we basically follow Captain Cherries, and she's tasked with retrieving the Fortress of 1,000 Needles. For that, she's going to use the help of General Jedao, who is a legendary commander, because he has never lost a battle in over 400 years. Fucking Jedao, man. Cherries Jedao? What a combo. What a combo. Another great conclusion, okay? The Light of All That Falls by James Islington. What a book. Man, what a series. I talked about this on my probably going to be a favorite fantasy of all time series, and we can confirm I need to update that list ASAP. Even though I thought this one was kind of the weakest book of the three, because it was a bit much info dumping for my taste, the conclusion, the ending on itself, was so satisfying. I realized about maybe the middle that I was just like, oh, I think that this is what's going to happen. This is what is going to happen. And it was. I mean, I predicted the ending because it's really well done. It's just like, yeah, will he do that? Will he do that? But so many reveals here, so many amazing character moments, so many emotions here also. It was great. It was kind of, again, a bittersweet ending, but still. I loved Caden, I loved Asha, I loved Davin. What was that pronunciation? Like what? Weird was also fantastic here. I love this series. You know, I understand so many of the complaints with this book, but I still enjoyed that ending so much that I ended up giving it 5 stars. I know. It's really more subjective than anything else. Yes, but it's been such a long time since I've read like a fantasy trilogy that had such a satisfying ending. I was crying a little bit when I was listening to it and reading it at the same time. I was a bit just like, why would you do this to me, James Islington? What a great series. What a great series. I will highly recommend this one. I still think that this is highly underrated. It's not talked about enough. It's fucking great. Try this one. Holy shit, when everything falls into place, because there's that magic in here, so you know there's that satisfaction when everything is just like where it should be and you understand the great picture. It's just so cool. So cool. So basically in the first book of the series we follow Davin, and he is supposed to pass this test because in this world magic is not forbidden, but it's really controlled. Every person that can wield magic is basically branded, and they cannot use magic to harm anyone, basically. Not even in self-defense, nothing. So he needs to pass this exam, or either he will become a shadow, meaning that he will be stripped from all his magical powers, basically, and become like a shell of himself. It's super sad. The shadow thing is so sad. The problem is his powers haven't manifested yet, so he's a bit in a predicament. But the thing is that he discovers that he actually possesses the powers of the ogres who erased that was basically hung down because they were too powerful, and he basically has to flee. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I've already said too much as always, but this series is amazing. I will highly recommend this one. Also, we follow Caden, who just wakes up in the middle of a town basically bathed in blood, and he has no idea how he got there. It's fucking amazing. Then let's talk about A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is book 2 in An Ember in the Ashes quartet, which I started reading this year. In fact, I read the previous book the previous month, I believe. But I'm so surprised with this series. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I am. Like, I knew that it was good and that it's highly underrated, especially in the YA community. But man, I'm still so surprised by how much I like this. Everyone complains a bit about the second book because you either love the second book or you prefer the first one. I fell on I prefer the second book to the first one. I still think it's better, like much better. Even though there were some things with the magic that were too fast for my taste. Like in the first one, we barely have any magic, but in here it's just like magical creature, magic, spirits. It's just like, wait a minute, wasn't this in this world, magic like super light and such. So that was a bit much because it was like all the books with that. But man, Elias's story here was super interesting. He was pretty flat in the first one, but now you have my interest now. Also, Laia is so much better in this book than in the first one. Still, the revelations at the end were fucking great. Like, it's just so hard to not go into spoilers with this book. Holy shit. Amazing sequel. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it this 4 stars. I gave the first one 4 stars too, but it's definitely like a lower 4 stars than this one. This one is much better, in my opinion. I know that it's quite unpopular to say that, but thoroughly enjoyed it. 100% continuing with the series. I have already ordered the 3rd one, which should be arriving the next week or so. Super intrigued by this series. I'm not really sure how it's going to end. Also, Helene is my favorite character all the way. She's fucking great. She's fucking amazing. Like, we stand Helene here, no matter what. But yeah, so many interesting things were revealed here. I'm super excited to continue. So in the first book of this series, A Number in the Ashes, we follow 2 different points of view. The first one is Elias, who is masked in this kind of Romanesque empire, and he's been trained his whole life to basically be a killer. That's it, basically. Then, in the other hand, we follow Laia, who is a scholar, like a group of people that has been enslaved by this empire, and she's trying to rescue her brother, and for that, she is going to basically cross paths with Elias. The first one was good, but this one was amazing. I read Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, and I enjoyed this book so much more than I was expecting. I knew that I was going to love it because it's a book with zombies, and we love zombies here. Like, we love zombies here. There's so much social commentary and commentary on racism in this book. I freaking adored it. This is set right after the Civil War in America, where basically Black people, especially Black girls, are sent to schools to just train and kill zombies. It's just such a cool concept. But yeah, there's a lot of talk, as I've told you, on social disparity and such. It was fucking amazing. I have already ordered the sequel because I really want to read that one. The main character was a bit much sometimes for me, like too intense, like Tao. We will talk about Tao in a bit too much, but overall she was such a fucking badass. I fucking loved her by the end. She was just like, no, sorry, I'm not going through this shit. I really like her. Also, Catherine was such a surprise of a character. I really felt from the beginning that she was going to be like that typical annoying character who's facing off with our main character, but she was so much more than that. I'm so surprised. Like, I really like that. The city that with the wall here reminded me a lot of The Walking Dead with the oh man, what's the town? One from the, is it the 6th season? When they are just all living like super calm because the city is surrounded by a gigantic wall. And you know how that ends. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't perfect. I thought sometimes it lacked a little bit. I did really like Gideon, by the way. Was it Gideon? Mr. Gideon? I'm not sure if that was his name, but I liked him. He was a scientist, you know. Scientists are nice. I cannot tell you much. I don't want to tell you much because great reveals, you know. Super rewarding, super satisfying, super good time. The social commentary here is done so well. Like, you fly through this. I read it in 2 days. I was super invested. I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend you check it out. Even though if you're not a huge fan of zombies, overall, this book was super good. So, great. And that was all for my physical books. So, besides that, I read Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter, which is book 2 in The Burning, the first book being, I have it here. Oh, I cannot grab it, damn it. The first book being The Rage of Dragons. And I enjoyed The Rage of Dragons when I read it. Though, the main character, Tao, is fucking insufferable. Like, way too intense all the time. Picture someone who is screaming all the time and super, like, not excited but mad at everything, and he's just like, well, I'm just going to go to do that. is everyone okay? Like, you know, screaming all the time and being pissed all the time. That's how I picture Tao in my mind. And every time that he says something, he's just like mad all the time. And it drives me insane. And still, they did this book. Holy shit, he doesn't change much, huh? Thing is, I love the magic system in this book and the world building. I think that those are the strongest points of this series, and that's basically the only reason why I'm continuing it. Because I hate Tao. I did find new characters in this one that I really liked, especially the queen and her maiden. I don't remember the names right now, even though I just finished this book 5 days ago. I don't remember the exact names right now. I'm just blanking completely. But those two, amazing. Tao, fucking tiresome as hell. I do have to say that he relaxes a bit towards the end and just like, oh, thank fucking God. But at the beginning, I was just like, oh my God, I'm having fucking flashbacks with this guy. The book starts right when the first one ended, and it's just like a really fast start, so you're going to be invested quite fast like in the book, and that's a cool thing. Then in the middle it relaxes a bit, and then on the end it picks up again, which is a weird structure. If I'm being honest, it was a really bit weird, but overall I liked it. There's much we can call it political intrigue in this one, fighting against the novels and such, which I really enjoy. You know that I enjoy that kind of thing, but that was just so fucking boring, you know. I gave this book 4 stars. I will continue to read the last one. I think it's going to be a trilogy, and the ending really was interesting. Like, it was really interesting. Still, the magic here, it's so cool that they go to this kind of different not reality, but you know, that it's full with monsters and you have to stay there for a bit, but if you stay too long, your shroud goes down and they will attack you and kill you in a horrific way. The training montage in this book was also top-notch. I will say that it's something that I really enjoy, books that training montage, and I really liked it in this one too. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it. Still, Tao is just so fucking boring. Like, dude, enough is enough. You're too intense. You're definitely too intense. My queen is Yora. She's the best. She has some weird secrets, but Queen Yora is the best. Last book, The Torch That Ignites the Stars by Andrew Rowe. I almost said Torching is the Night again. So many tortures this month. Book 3 in the Arcane Ascension trilogy. First and foremost, I give it 4 stars. I didn't like it as much as I liked book 1 and 2. But the reason is because apparently, I think that this was the story with this one, and not only with the next book in the Diamantine series. This one was already been too long, and he decided to cut them down and make like 2 different books. But the thing is, in this book, they are not set on the, let's call it, magical school. So it feels a little bit slower from the get-go. They are kind of on vacation, and they go to this new part of the world, which that was fucking interesting, like so cool. And you know, it feels weird with the tone of the previous books. I still really enjoyed it. I just don't think that it grabbed my attention as much as the first 2 books. And by the way, the final copy has already been published. I will get it this week. The minute I received the email from Andrew Robin, just like, hey, the paperbacks are already available, I was just like, purchase. One thing. When I was started reading it, my favorite character is Derek, okay? So one of the first sentences was just like, oh, Derek is not going to be around much. Just like, why would you do this to me? But I had a feeling. I'll just say that. I had a feeling. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I missed Karas a little bit, but Corin is still the fucking best. Sarah is amazing. Patrick is amazing. Everyone is amazing in this series. It's just like everyone's so wholesome. Like, so wholesome. It makes me so happy. I also love the thing with the foreign laughs. This book is so nerdy. Like, you get to study how the sigils are made, because as I have already told you, I'm not going to explain sufficient advanced magic again. Magic here works by placing sigils on different parts of the body. So you may have one here, another one here. So in this one, they study how the sigils are just kind of a physical form, but inside them there are different sub-sigils that will it was so fucking cool. I have to say that. It's so nerdy because it's just like, this is not magic. This is also science. This is science. And it was so cool. So cool. I really enjoyed it. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I've seen some reviews saying that this was like too much for them and that it didn't have much plot. I get that. It is kind of felt like not a standalone, but more of a companion novel. But still, enough plot for me, enough characters for me, enough everything for me. I loved it. I give it 4 stars. I still think it's great. The series is so worth it. If you want to have a good time, like, it's so good. I'm just going to leave it at that because I've been rambling for almost 45 minutes. So we're going to stop. So that's basically going to be all for today, guys. By the way, these videos are all being pre-recorded on the first week of January, so I might not be around much on the comment section because I have my finals in a couple of weeks, so I'm pretty busy right now. But I will try to do my best. And please, have you read any of these books? Have you finished Ademar Inuyasha's Quartet? I really want to know if the ending like has a good payoff or not. But yeah, that's going to be all basically. So as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye!